Whoa, so what are the best jobs in Shenzhen, China in 2026? I mean, there's no such thing as the best job, but the main question you should be asking is how much are you willing to be compensated to be far, far away from home? Welcome back to Soul Quest. Today, we're going to talk about the best teaching position for your current experience.
I will.
All right, the quick answer is training center. If you are a first year, just got out of college, no money, no experience, nada, this is the best position for you. Not that only hold your hand, but also guide you through China without any hassle at all. But the most important thing is stable pay. Now, if you'd like to know what I mean by about stable pay, continue on to the video and I'll explain more about it. Before we continue on to this video, if you'd like to donate in the form of subscribers, my boys will be grateful for your clicking thing. So click on that subscribe button now, so that way we can fill our belly with all those likes and subscribers. Now continue on to this video. So what do I mean by compensation earlier? Either you can choose straight up cash or either time. By the end of the video, you're gonna be able to decide which one is a perfect fit for you. And so that way you can start your adventure now. So on today's video, we're gonna mainly focus on the easiest position to enter all the way to the hardest one. But be aware, there is a lot of patches for each teaching position in Shenzhen, China. So this is why I want to remake this video, because some of them really struck hard for a lot of new expat out here in Shenzhen, China. So it's good to be aware before entering this new teaching position. Now, there is also a new teaching position that you're able to utilize within China or outside China, but you gotta stay tuned for that at the end of the video. Now, first, let's talk about the training center. Either this patch is debuff or a buff for some people, but basically you cannot teach English directly through the notebook or either a workbook, those kind of shenanigans. So they usually teach English via sports, via playing games, robotics, cooking, you name it. It has to be pre-approved by the government or either it's a no-go. So what exactly is training centers? So as you can see here, buildings all around, and within those buildings, some of them have training center. They will teach English or either some extracurricular activity. And this is where students are able to practice their English skill, so it'll increase their test scores. And like I mentioned earlier, there's no straight up textbook teaching from what I heard so far, but you're gonna be teaching English via like sports, cooking, or maybe some storytelling or speech like that. But either way, you're gonna be doing those activities in English. So the typical classroom for a training center is about 15 up to 20 students. It's not a lot at all. So this is why I really recommend a lot of first year to start out in training center, just because of the difficulty rate. And plus, not only that, you'll be able to have a personal assistant at your side in case if the student misbehave or either there's some mistranslation issue, which makes it a lot more easier comparison to every other teaching position out there. But of course, this comes with a downside as well, and that is work hours. So the typical work hour in these training center is about 2 to 3 hours on weekdays. Basically, you're gonna be doing a pre-planning, lesson plans, etc. like that, making your PowerPoints. And during weekend, you're gonna have the full class for 8 hours straight or either even more than that. But in addition to that, the schedule is a little bit weird because again, this is an after school activity. You're gonna be going to these training center at around 3 p.m. during weekdays, but during weekend where the kids have full free time, you're gonna be there around 7 in the morning up to 9 p.m. at night, depending on which training center that you go to. You do have either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday off. You get to pick 2 days off per week. This could cause a bit of a discourse during weekends because you're not going to be able to hang out with them during weekends because those are your busy time, or either after hours, you're going to be dead tired and you're not sure if you want to hang out with them anymore. Next, let's talk about summer and winter. Now, typically during summer, you're still going to get some summer off and some winter off, but it's not as long comparison to other teaching positions. Actually, you're going to be working more during summer and winter because those are the time where students have days off. Now, I call this the hell week. This is a term I pulled out of my own butt. Basically, you'll be working 1 week straight with almost no break. From my experience, I only had like 3-hour break for a 10-hour shift. But of course, this comes with the big benefit of, a little bit of extra bonus, about like 400, 500 RMB. but it's great to kind of add that to your vacation bonus. Now let's talk about the most exciting thing, and that is compensation. Now, the compensation for these training center kind of varies from one to another. I think the mainstream one is about like 16,000 RMB up to 24,000 RMB for a first year, depending on your nationality and past experience as well. All right, next, let's talk about public school. Now, for some people, public school might sound really easy, but the new patch notes are a bit insane. So, number one, schools are a lot more strict comparison to what it is last year. There was a big culling in Nanshan, Bao'an, Futian area just because they're not required to have foreign English teacher anymore. So a lot of the school laid off a lot of teacher like around last year. If you're gonna choose this position, be careful of the whole culling thing. Make sure you have a good relation with the school, or either you know what you're doing. So typically these schools are located in residential area or either near national park. Unfortunately, if you do have a school near the national park, you have to go bike there or either hike up a hill every day. Now for someone who's not used to teaching, this could be a big negative because the class size is around 50 students. Now, for some lucky few, 47 students. By the way, there's no big differences. But the most important thing of all, there is no PA to guide you. Although they do have a contact teacher that'll help you out once in a while, but they're not gonna be physically in the class every day to help you out unless you're in some fancy school. Now, this is why a lot of people who worked in public school have a bad experience, just because they're not well versed in the way of the public school out here in China. Now, first of all, you don't know the rules out here, and the rules really differs from the Western states. And this could cause a lot of confusion to people and frustration as well. And most of them quit within a year. The turnover rate here is high, man. Either the school is not satisfied with them, or either the teacher just quit because they're just too frustrated with all the student in the class. Of course, this sounds really daunting at all, but it does come with additional benefits, but you kind of have to gamble on it as well. If your school does not require office hour, this right here is the best deal for you, just because you're able to do the things that you want to do, or either explore more and fulfill your adventures. And if you don't have office hour, typically you're gonna be working around 2 to 3 classes per day, and the maximum will be 5. And each class is around 40 minutes, which is not stressful at all if you know what you are doing. Now let's talk about the most important thing, and that is the summer and winter vacation. This right here is the main reason why most people work in public school, just because during summer, you're gonna have 2.5 months off, and winter, 1 month off, sometimes 1.5 months. This right here is a prime time for people to explore all over the Southeast Asian area, or either travel all over China. That sounds peachy and stuff, right? But let me tell you, one big negative when it comes to all this is that you're not getting paid full during summer and winter. During summer, you're gonna only get paid housing and basic, and during winter, most of the time, you're only gonna get paid basic, or depending by the company, you're gonna be getting paid housing and basic. But either way, it's not enough money, and this could really cause a lot of backlash for a lot of new first-year adventurer out there because they haven't yet fully prepared their nest egg just yet. Now, talking about nest egg, let's talk a bit more about the compensation when it comes to these public school. Now, of course, it's not as much as it is in the training center, but it is quite a lot for the amount of hour you put into this work, especially if you don't have office hour. So the typical pay for a public school is about like 14,000 up to 22,000, depending on your experience and how confident you are in your background as well. So let's just say you're here to make big buckaroonies. The next position will be the best option for you, and that is private school. The only patch notes that I've heard so far is that there's gonna be more in Shenzhen, so which means there's gonna be more opportunities for you as well. So most of the private school are gonna be nested in the Futian and Nanshan area because these are where most of the business are, which means more money around the area. And as for the classroom size, you don't really have to worry too much about it because it's gonna be the same as it is in the Western school. It's around 17 up to 23 people. It's not big at all, but the most important thing is that most of them do know how to speak English, so it's not gonna be difficult for you to kind of communicate with these students. Now, when it comes to private school, it's gonna be like a real typical teacher as it is in the Western country. Not only that you're gonna be grading these papers alone, but you're gonna also be communicating with the parents as well for all the classes that you're gonna have. But of course, there are some rare cases that you don't have to do that. And in addition to that, they don't have office hours as well. And I'm really jealous of them. Next, let's talk about winter and summer. Now, when it comes to private school, it's almost the same as it is in public school with the whole winter and summertime, but the only minor difference that I've heard is that they have to come 1.5 weeks earlier to class to set up and join meetings. Whereas in public schools, you're not required to join meetings because most of them is going to be in Chinese. They just think it's a waste of time for you. Unless if they include English, they'll include you as well. Now, when it comes to work-life balance, I think this place is amazing just because you're going to have a lot more people that do speak English around this area, which makes you less lonely in comparison to the public school. Another additional benefit is that if you have a spouse or a kid, most of the contract that I've seen from these private schools, they're gonna pay for your spouse to come and also your kid join in for free in these private schools, which is a big plus for a lot of people who have a family. Now, let's talk about the most important thing, and that is compensation. Now, right here is a sweet spot for all expat out there. Private school usually pays about minimum that I've seen so far was around 21,000 up to 40K depending on your experience. So if you are able to land a private school with no office hour, that is, man, applause to you. But yeah, that is everybody's dream job out there. I was gonna talk about homeschooling, but I haven't seen that position pop up in the job searching website in a long time. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that. So either they changed the term to a nanny or either they just don't do that anymore. So I would admit that for 2026, but if you're still curious on what homeschool is like, you can check out my other video in 2025. Now we can all agree that everybody's online nowadays, which means some jobs are also gonna be online. Now you can take this opportunity and bend it to your own will. Now, of course, I'm not gonna name any company, but you can just Google them up and you can find any one of them. But the reason why I put this in this list is because this could be a great opportunity for anyone who haven't yet finished their bachelor's degree to gain experience so they can get more money once they arrive in China. Now, when it comes to these companies, I think they're a bit more lax in like the recruitment center. I think they're based off commission, and depending on how much people watch your stream or either how many people are in your class, you get paid more. In some cases, you do get paid per hour or either per lesson. Now, it's all up to the company what their compensation is, but the class size is typically about like 10 up to 20 students in a Zoom call, or either they're just straight up streaming your stuff and have tons of kids watching it. But one thing I like the most is the work hour. So with this flexible schedule, you're able to make money at the same time, gain experience before going to China or either teaching abroad in general. But if you're working in China, it is somewhat of a gray line to have another job while you're working in China. So that's up to your own discretion. But if you're outside China, still haven't yet gotten your bachelor's degree, this is the perfect fit for you just because you're able to tell your future employer that you already have experience working with Chinese kids, and this is gonna be an easy peasy thing for you to do. This is why I should bump my grade by like 2 folds comparison to other first year out there. So I'm not quite sure what the exact compensation are, but it's about like 200 up to 500 RMB per hour. But yeah, with all this information in mind, I hope you can make the best decision for your future. Now, like I mentioned earlier, definitely recommend for a lot of first year adventure out there to join the training center. Now, the main reason why I say go for a mainstream training center is because as a first year, you haven't yet accumulated your nest egg, and plus you're still unfamiliar with China. And you know, when it comes to China, things changes quickly, fast. So if you go for a training center who is not really mainstream, it could go down anytime, which means your pay can also go down as well and you will not be compensated. But yeah, that's about it. I think if you have any other question, comment down below. I'll try to respond to you as soon as possible. And yeah, till next time. Look at this, it's beautiful today. Wow.